Anytime that you're dealing with addictions or habits or anything that you have been doing for a set amount of time, it's going to be, first off, it's going to be very discouraging. That's totally normal. You're going to feel like maybe you can never get over it, and it's going to be something that is very difficult because it's a set pattern. You're trying to change something that's how it is. Let's say, for instance, you said, okay, all of America drive on the, you're going to switch sides. You're going to drive on the left side instead of on the right side. Well, that would be very difficult for, for them to be able to adapt to. So let's look at this. Here are some just quick things here. First off, what is an addiction? An addiction is something that consumes your time and thoughts. Obviously, addictions can be a lot of different things. Sometimes people think that, okay, I'm not addicted to drugs, so it's okay. Like maybe you used to be on drugs, but then you substitute it with something else, food or whatever. But the lack of self-control is just begging to have a relapse. The problem is there's no self-control, there's no discipline. Okay, so you're just substituting one addiction for another. Okay, saying off, an addiction can be good or bad. It's something that, or sometimes it's good and bad. It's something that, sometimes we get it in our head where, okay, drugs bad. This other thing that I'm clearly obviously addicted to, that's okay. But it shouldn't be like that in our heads. First off, video games. There's a lot of kids that are addicted to video games. They spend all their days on that. And when they're not on that, they're on their smartphones. Sex can be an addictive thing where you always have to find someone hotter. You always have to have sex with one more person. It's almost like a game of trying to get more and more and more. And obviously, pornography itself is kind of rooted in that idea of trying to find the best. Fake sex with fake people trying to look perfect and spotless. And so then we play video games where everything's perfect and spotless, perfect graphics, perfect. We watch movies where the graphics are perfect and everything's perfect, and all this stuff. We are constantly surrounded by this attempt to be perfect. And so it's something that's very hard to break free from. Then obviously drugs. There's some things that are good drugs and some drugs that are bad. Like if you're going through a lot of pain, marijuana can be good. But if you're a kid, marijuana is usually bad because, once again, you kind of learn laziness. You kind of learn to not to address the situations. You learn to, once again, break the law, that kind of stuff. But even if it was legal, you should be asking, should I be doing this? There are some medications that doctors give you that, should you be taking those? Obviously sometimes you don't really have a choice, but there are some times when it's like, nope. I had a real bad infection. I almost died from it, actually. And the doctors gave me this painkiller. And I was taking it because they gave it to me. Then my wife, who worked at a medical call center, said, that's a level whatever. I don't know how they categorize them, but basically it was very highly addictive. And so I said, oh, well, screw that. And so I got rid of them because addiction runs in my family. And I'm like, nope, not going to do that. And that was just for painkillers. So obviously, be smart about this stuff. It's very, very easy to get stuck. And if you've been stuck once before, you could get stuck again. So that takes us to this thing called the loop of the habit loop. That's what it's called, the habit loop. It has 4 stages: cue, craving, response, reward. So basically, cue is you are in the right place at the right time for this, and it's just more of a matter of time when you're tempted to do it. The second step, craving, that's now you want to do it. The third thing, the response, you act on it, you buy the drugs or whatever. The fourth is the reward. You take the drugs, you feel better, whatever. Now, there are other stages to it than this, like there's the after effects and that kind of stuff. We're not going to look at that because we want to look specifically at the stages of forming a habit, not the ongoing effects of a habit. So first off, the cue. This involves the environment that you're in. If you're living in a house where everybody's drinking, it's going to be very hard for you to not drink because it's part of the environment. If you go to a bar, it's going to be hard for you to not order a beer if you're used to drinking beer because that's part of the environment. Everybody around you is doing it. People, everybody who you're hanging around is doing it. It's very difficult to set that. So the first stage to overcoming any addiction or any habit is to change the environment. Get yourself out of the environment. Get yourself into a new environment. Okay, that's the first thing. So then the second stage, this is craving. This is when we start desiring it. So for this, there's something else we can do if we can't leave the environment, which that's really the biggest problem there. You got to change the environment, but changing the environment alone is not enough. You can change the environment and still do drugs in that new environment. You can change the environment and still be sleeping around with people in the new environment. Learning how to be disciplined is not the only fix you need, and neither is changing your environment. These are things where you have to do many of these things, and they build on each other to build a tower of victory. So, and the next is the craving. That's when you desire to do it. So to combat this, redirect your thoughts. Do things that cause your thoughts to redirect. For instance, in the case of trying to stop looking at pornography, take a cold shower, go for a walk. In fact, going for a walk works on both those things. First off, it changes the environment. So now I'm not in a place where I can watch porn anymore. And then second off, it changes the craving because now I'm expending the energy in something else. So it works on two different levels. Now, some people say, well, I don't have time. Right? Well, if you have time to look at porn, if you have time to do drugs or to buy drugs, you have time to do something else instead. So then that takes us to the third stage. That's response. Now, I don't want to undersell stage 2. When you learn to redirect your thoughts and redirect your energy and redirect your focus, that is an amazing skill that you will always use in your life. So don't downgrade that one. I know I passed over it quickly, but still, don't forget about that one. The third one, response. This is when you take steps to satisfy that craving. Okay? Now, obviously, this depends on the ability or the opportunity. For instance, you can't just go down to your nearest grocery store and say, yes, I would like to buy heroin. You can't do that. I mean, you can get stuff to make meth, for instance, and there are alternatives, but still, there has to be an opportunity for you to do that, the ability for you to do that. So, in order to combat this stage of the loop, what you have to do is you have to remove the ability, remove the opportunity. Okay? So change where you're living, change the friends that you're hanging out with, change all that, right? But now, even more so than that, make it where you don't have the ability. For instance, if you watch porn and you're trying to stop watching porn, get rid of your smartphone. Get porn blockers on your computer. Get rid of internet at your house. Well, that's just not practical. Do you want to win or no? Victory often is about life or death. So do you want to have victory? Then you have to make tough calls. What am I going to do if I don't have internet at my house? Spend more time reading. There's a lot of books out there. You could be learning something, an actual skill that you could be putting to use. You could be doing something that's fun and relaxing for you. You could be going on walks. You could be out exploring the world. You could be, people existed long before the internet was ever a thing. You can do it too. Or in the case of drugs, get yourself where you don't have the opportunity to get to the drugs. Now this is going to involve a lot of creative thinking, and every different situation is once again different, so you're going to have to brainstorm on this one. But you want to take away the ability to do that thing. Okay, let's say for instance you always do drugs in this one room of the house or whatever, so that way your parents don't find out or whatever. Make it where you can't get to that room, and make it where there's no opportunity for you in your house to do drugs. Where people are going to rat you out or find out. Well, then you have to find somewhere else, and now you're making it less convenient. And the more inconvenient it is to fulfill your habit, the more likely it is that you will stop doing your habit. So, like for instance, let's say every time I want to watch porn, I have to take a shower, get dressed. I have to then walk 5 miles to the nearest internet access, and then I have to find some hidden place, out, where people aren't going to see me to watch it, and then I have to walk back. Well, it's getting so inconvenient where I'm not going to do it anymore. Now, obviously, that's an extreme example, but you can kind of understand what I'm saying. If it becomes inconvenient enough, then it won't be something that you really rush to. Next, now I'm not saying you won't have fallbacks or relapses or stuff like that. Those sometimes happen. If they do, get back up and keep going. One mistake doesn't matter. In fact, what does matter is the one victory, not the one mistake. If you had a victory, that is what matters, because that means that you can win. That means that there is a breaking point. So then the fourth stage is the reward. Now, obviously, in other videos, I've talked about the after reward, how you feel afterwards. For instance, when you drink, you feel depressed. When you do, you know, see what I mean? Like there's always the after reward, but let's focus specifically on the reward. You have to reward yourself for not doing the thing. Okay, let me. Okay, so if you look at porn, you get to look at gorgeous women, and then you get to feel really good, and then you feel bad. But see what I mean? That's the reward. Okay? Now, let's say I'm trying to stop looking at pornography. So then I say, okay, so I do this thing. I'm gonna wait 5 minutes to look at pornography. So then I make it 5 minutes. Reward yourself. Now you get to do something fun. So I mean, something that feels good. Now, I know that some people would say reward is its own reward. You know, the ability to overcome something. Well, yes. But for those of you who have ever been in any kind of real addiction, you know that it doesn't feel good at the time. You just want it and you want it bad. And it's all about that. It consumes your thoughts. It consumes. So you really have to take this step by step. You have to find some way to reward yourself for not. And it has to be of equal or greater pleasure for it to be worth it in your head. Okay? So then constantly read about how to overcome these things, understand them more. If you're popping pills, for instance, read about that. Read about some of the psychological things behind it. Read about some of the things that it does to your body. Find out. Read. Study. Learn more. Set goals. Where do you want to be in 5 years? Where do you want to be in 10 years? Because look, you're going to be exactly where you are unless you set realistic goals and you make a plan as to how to get there. In 5 years, I want to have my master's degree. So what do I need to do? I need to enroll in school. I need to work an extra job. I need to put in a lot of hours. That's what I need to do. Now, if I say I want to get a master's degree and I keep doing the exact same thing today as I have been every day before today, am I going to get the master's degree? No. I got to change something. I got to set the goals and then I got to set the plan in motion. Be around what you want to be like. Look at your friends. What is their annual income? Now take the average of that, and that will be what your income is. You will never do better than the people that you hang out with. Never. So with that being said, now that's about finances. We're talking about addictions. You want to be if you want to be off of pornography, if you want to be off of drugs, get around people who are not on them. Be around people who are victorious over those things. Be around people who say, yeah, I used to do that nonsense, but now I set up goals and this is how I do it and I don't do that anymore. Get around people who have goals and visions and a purpose in their life. Get around those people and learn from them. Ask questions. Go to seminars. Do whatever you can to make sure that you will not get back into your habit. It's not what you are that holds you back. I got this from Chris Sonksen. I get a lot of stuff from Chris Sonksen. It's what you think you're not. See, you can do this. You can do this. But the problem is you are limiting yourself. Don't make decisions because of where you are. Make decisions because of where you want to be. See what I mean? Don't opt for what's convenient. Well, okay. So tomorrow, I want to no longer be on drugs. So what do I need to do today? So what we do is we do something along the lines of this instead. I'm on drugs. So then we continue that same destructive thing. And we continue the same patterns. So obviously we're still on drugs. And we haven't put any forethought into tomorrow. Don't make decisions because of where you are. See, right now I'm in drugs. So I need to, what's a good example? Okay, so right now I'm in drugs. And so, man, I'm having a hard time thinking of an example for this one. So I'm going to go ahead and do drugs because I'm already doing drugs. But if I say, okay, but I want to be out of drugs tomorrow. So I mean, well, that's going to affect how I need to change today. So what I need to do today if I don't want to be that person tomorrow. I hope that kind of makes sense. I should have thought of an example beforehand, I guess. So, okay. Boop. It is nobody else's responsibility for you to grow, for you to learn, for you to get off of your habits, and it's nobody else's fault that you're in your habits, okay? At worst, people can only give you an opportunity for your habit. They are not the ones who made the choice for you. Well, I was pressured into it. You gave in. Stop blaming other people and start owning your own problem. It's your problem. You fix it. Join a group, be accountable. Now, doesn't that exactly contradict what I said? Well, no, not really. You have to take ownership for your problem, and so that you can bury it. But you don't have to make that journey by yourself. Difference, okay? Getting around other people who are having similar problems, okay. Not too close, because you don't want to be getting back into it again. Have guards in place. Be accountable. But own up to your part of it. Evaluate your time and move the boxes. See, here is your life. Okay, you've got boxes in your life like this. Okay, now these boxes represent the span of time in any given day. It doesn't matter what's in the boxes. Maybe this box is work, and maybe this box is I don't know. You're learning Latin. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Moral of the story being, here are your boxes. Now, remember, habits and patterns can only exist in an environment that allows them to exist. So if this is your schedule, and this is the same schedule you've had for forever, and this is the same schedule that allows you to do whatever you're addicted to, you're going to have to evaluate your time. Where am I spending time? When do I have opportunity to do this thing? And then move the boxes. See, right now, this box right here is taking drugs, or looking at pornography, or sleeping around, or whatever your addiction is. Well, if you want to take that out, you have to put something else in its place. Okay? It's like people say, well, I want to start reading the Bible, so what are you going to change? You're not going to have 25 hours in your day. You're still going to have 24 hours in your day. So what are you going to get rid of to fit the Bible in? Because right now, all your time is taken care of. And here's the thing. People will always do something. See, I hear a lot of people say, I'm overworked at my job or at church or whatever, so I'm going to pull back from that. Then what are you going to do in its place? Because here's the thing. If left alone, we will do something. The question is, do you want to do something that, although tiring, is something that's good, or do you want to do something that is not good? See what I mean? So, okay, here's my life. Well, I got tired of being a pastor, so I quit. Okay. Well, I still have this big blank spot here in my life. This right there. I can fit part of my face in between this gap. I'm gonna have to find something to fill in that gap. Okay, you gotta move the boxes in your life, move the time frames, and make it where that time is taken up by something else. Like maybe every Tuesday at 1 o'clock you meet your homeboy and you get some drugs and whatever. All right. Well, so do something else at that time. Make it where you don't have time anymore in your schedule that caters to your habit. If you don't cater to your habit, it'll be easier for it to die. Behaviors only exist in an environment that supports it. Behaviors only exist in an environment that supports it. Do you know why? Do you know why that people don't go into church in the middle of a service in order to do drugs? Because that's not where you do drugs. You're going to get arrested, you're going to get reported, you're going to get taken to rehab. Something's going to happen like that is going to happen. You have to make the environment in order for that to happen. But if you remove yourself from the environment, and if you move those time frames around, people want different results, but they want to do the same thing over and over again. If you want a different result, you have to change how you got to that result. If I add 2 plus 2, it's going to be 4. It's always going to be 4. I can keep adding 2 and 2 and keep getting 4 and get frustrated. I can tell myself that that number isn't really 4, it's something else. Or I can change the equation. Maybe 2 minus 2 takes away 0. Oh, now I have another result. Equals 0. Now I have another result. See, you have to change how you got to that. That's math day 1. Don't wait until you think you can, because here's a situation you have times won't feel like you can. And what happens if you start because, oh, I think I can, and then, oh, no, I don't feel like I can anymore. Then you fail again. Your emotions are bullcrap. Don't listen to them. They have nothing to do with reality. Instead, say, this is what I'm doing. And then do it. And set things in place where you can't not do it. Chris Songson, I was at this leadership conference last week, or was it 2 weeks ago? Maybe I think it was last week. And he gave this story. Let's say you have a bunch of really thick, fat trees in your backyard, and you want them all to be gone. So you take your axe, and you go out there, and every day you swing at a different tree. Well, a lot of things are going to happen. One, the trees are going to grow back and be healthy again, or the weeds or whatever you're cutting down. Or two, you're going to just get tired and frustrated and just quit altogether. Maybe what's going to happen is you're going to just spread yourself too quick and never get back to that first tree that you hit. A lot of different things can happen. But instead, if you focus on one tree, and every day you take one swing at that tree, every day go back out there, next day hit it again, one swing at that tree, eventually you're going to get that tree knocked down. It's not going to have time to heal back up. You're not going to forget about it. That is what you're focusing on. Okay? So that's what's happening. You're swinging at that tree. And what's that tree? That tree is your addiction. Every day, do little things. It doesn't matter about what you fail. It matters about what steps you take forward. If you take one single step forward and you take 15 backwards, it does not matter. What matters is that you took that one step forward. And then the next day, you take another step forward. The next day, you take another step forward. You just focus on this moment. Right now, you're swinging at that tree. Tomorrow, you're going to swing at it again. But don't worry about tomorrow. Today, swing at that tree. Today, swing at that tree. Today, swing at that tree. Now, I hope that those things kind of helped you. Really, if you want to beat an addiction, you have to be smarter than it. Because you have literally trained yourself to go through this process. And if you want to get out of that process, you have to untrain yourself. That means you have to do the opposite of what you were doing. That's going to be difficult, but you can do it.